Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to talk about Dolomite. And this is one of the funniest things I have seen coming from Netflix, and this is one of the things that I'm actually really excited to see. Now, the movie itself is my Dolomite Is My Name, which is a direct quote from Rudy Ray Moore as Dolomite from the film Dolomite. Um, and for those of you who are not familiar with what Dolomite is, Dolomite was a 70s blaxploitation movie that starred Rudy Ray Moore, who was an aging comedian, and the basic premise is that he is a kung fu fighting, girl fucking. Uh, Basically, he's just like the ultimate version of like a pimp. He's a pimp. He screws beautiful women. He kung fu fights. He kills people. He does all this insane shit. It's basically all the stuff that people love from blaxploitation boiled down into its concentrated form. And this seems to me, I'm going to go over the trailer in a minute, but this seems to me to be a lot like The Disaster Artist, which was a film that was put out by Seth Rogen and James Franco a few years ago that portrayed the production of the movie The Room, which is a classic, so bad that it's good film, which was starred and was directed and written by Tommy Wiseau. And James Franco starred as Tommy Wiseau. In this case, we have Eddie Murphy starring as Rudy Ray Moore, and Eddie Murphy kills this. This trailer is fucking hilarious. This is the best I've seen Eddie Murphy in probably at least 25 years. Um, he really had a drop off in his career in like the mid to late '90s, where he started doing a lot of these family comedies and stuff like that. When he was doing comedies in the '80s, like Trading Places or Coming to America and stuff like that, he was really funny and he was raunchy, and his stand up was a lot like that too, which is kind of why he slid very easily into those film roles. But then he kind of went to the family friendly route, and people didn't really like it that much. You saw stuff like Haunted Mansion and crap like that. And nobody really liked it. This is a return to hard R-rated Eddie Murphy, and it looks awesome. He says "motherfucker" in the trailer, just like Dolomite. It's a great, great, great trailer, and it highlights all the things you want to see from something like this. Now, uh, I can also say that the supporting cast looks really really good. You have Mike Epps, you have Wesley Snipes, Keegan Michael Key or Michael Keegan Key. I keep forgetting what order that goes in. Key from Key and Peele. Um, and they do a really good job in the trailer, and we really get to see kind of the story of Rudy Ray Moore. And the trailer kind of starts off with where we start off with him, where he's trying to kind of get into the business. He's kind of a down on his luck guy. You can tell he's talking to his auntie, who I think is played by Aretha Franklin, which means this was made a decent amount of time ago. Um, and he's talking to her about he wants to do a comedy record, and he eventually makes the comedy record, but they say it's too dirty, you can't sell this, you can't promote it. You have a product that we can't move. And so he basically just keeps getting shut down and shut down and shut down. There's actually a cameo by Snoop Dogg in there too, if I remember right. And he keeps getting shut down. He basically says, like, every time they slam a door in my face, I just go to the next one. And he just keeps trying to break in. And he develops this persona called Dolomite. And basically, Dolomite is the grandiose version of all black exploitation tropes. He says "motherfucker" a shit ton. He fucks hoes. He drives, pimped out Cadillacs. He wears these extravagant suits. He knows karate. He kills people. All of this shit that you think of when you think of like older '70s black exploitation is boiled down to its core in a movie like Dolomite. And this actually launched Rudy Murray Moore's black exploitation career, because after this he did like The Human Tornado and several other films originally. But this, I think, is just dealing with the inception and production of Dolomite the character, and then going into Dolomite the film. Um, and they go through this like process where after he fails with the record, he goes to a movie and he kind of gets this inspiration to turn Dolomite into a low budget film, and then he gets in line. He starts recruiting all these guys. He starts recruiting Key. He comes in. It looks like he's a valet somewhere when he finds him, and then he finds Wesley Snipes. And the scene where he meets Wesley Snipes is one of the best ones because he's telling him about this. Wesley Snipes goes, "You think you can just sit down here and hire me to do a film and I'll accept?" And he looks at him. He says, "I'll let you direct." And then as soon as he does that, Wesley Snipes is just all in, and it's a hilarious scene. It's really great to see Eddie Murphy back on his comedic timing. It is really good to see him doing stuff again that actually makes you laugh and makes you think about old Eddie Murphy, good Eddie Murphy. And they go through the production of the actual film Dolomite. They go through all the stuff where like they're saying like, "Oh, you're too fat to play, you're not Shaft, you're too fat." They actually make a joke about Shaft in this, which is kind of funny too near the end, where Eddie Murphy looks at Wesley Snipes and he says, "That's better. That was better than Shaft, right?" And they're kind of joking about it. And then they go through all these things. They have this scene where he's having sex with this white girl and stuff, and all this other shit. Then, like the set collapses, which is hilarious, and all this other stuff. But I'll link the trailer below for anybody that wants to watch, and I highly recommend you watch, especially if you're a fan of blaxploitation or you're a fan of older Eddie Murphy films, because this seems like a real return to form, and I am actually really excited to watch this. I want to see Eddie Murphy in this film. This is coming out on Netflix. Um, I don't know the exact date that is going to be coming out on Netflix. This is the first trailer for it. However, we do have confirmation that it is coming out at some point this year, so I would probably expect it sometime around October, November, somewhere in that time frame, I'd imagine. But this is really, really good. This is this. It's weird to say this, but it basically feels like the blaxploitation version of The Room, or of the Disaster Artist. Um, but it's one of those things that blaxploitation has been kind of coming back lately. I know Jordan Peele has mentioned on multiple occasions that the films that he's making are kind of modern day blaxploitation films. I know they just recently did another entry into the Shaft franchise and a few other things, and a lot of things are cyclical when it comes to what's in and what's out. And blaxploitation's had a good, roughly 40 to 50 years to kind of gestate with the public, because it kind of ended in 1979 with The Wiz, and then it just died off after that. But now it seems to be having somewhat of a resurgence, and this is really, really interesting to me. I really do want to watch this, and it's goddamn hilarious. I love Eddie Murphy playing Rudy Ray Moore. So now that we've gone through that, like I said before, the trailer will be linked below for anybody that wants to watch it. I advise that you do, again, especially if you like blaxploitation and you like old Eddie Murphy. Remember to hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?